Tell me something, do you currently pay for Spotify or Apple Music? If that's the case, are you planning to pay that until you die, or are you waiting for something? Because I'm tired of paying for something that I'm not gonna own in the end. And that's why today I'm telling you my reasons for ditching Spotify and actually start building my music library instead. For me, the most important reason is ownership and control. And what's happening with today's media consumption is that we're paying to rent catalogs of movies and games and obviously music. And in the end, we're not going to keep any of those, files or content. Because obviously we don't own any of the files or libraries that we create on Spotify. But music services kind of disguise this by allowing you to have a library. And that's kind of devious, I guess. Because when I first started using Spotify, I was kind of confused because you could download the music. And so for a second I thought I could keep the files, but that was too good to be true. And so when my subscription ended, all the files were deleted. And that's the point. What happens if Spotify suddenly disappears? Your library just goes to shit and it's all lost. You can't get it back. And that's the main reason to build a library of your own, because this library on Spotify or Apple Music is actually vulnerable. You can't control what happens to the music and the files. We just witnessed Universal take all of its catalog from TikTok, and that's, I think, over 30% of the music on the platform. And that's just nuts. Like, imagine, I know it's not feasible or not, I know it's kind of unrealistic to think that Universal is gonna pull their music from Spotify because it's so big. But what happens if another streaming service just appears and it's better and everyone starts going that way? And Universal just suddenly takes their music from Spotify. You can't just migrate your music library from one streaming service to the other one. And your library would just end. You have to start all over again, and basically that's not your library. You're just creating folders of their music. And so by owning your music library, you have unlimited access to it anytime on any device. You can put it anywhere you want without restrictions or network issues or whatever. And that's another great thing about having your music library. You can do whatever you want with it. You can put it on discs. You can put it on CDs. You can put it on tape if you want. You can put it on your phone. Maybe you have an iPod. You can put it in the iPod, an MP3 player. An iPad. You can do whatever you want. And it gives you a great sense of accomplishment when you start building your own library. To see it grow every time you get a new CD, or you buy some tracks from iTunes. And it's really cool to see it, even though it's digitally, probably. It's very cool to just see all these albums and look at all the covers and see how far you've come, and because you're curating your library, you're creating your own library from your own personal taste and perspective in some way. And for some reason I kept all my MP3 files from 2010, I think it was. I've kept them since and I still have them, so it is a great foundation for creating a new library. Because I'm just sick of Spotify and sick of Apple Music and all these streaming services, because they don't really offer any advantage over creating your own library. The only advantage is that you get unlimited music, but I don't need unlimited music. It's so much more rewarding to find an album on the store than just type It's much more rewarding to find the CD or the record on the store than just typing it on Spotify and just listening to the thing. I find myself not actually listening to the music on Spotify. I guess I just put it as background music, and most of the time I don't even finish an album I start. Since I started rebuilding my iTunes library, I've been listening to a lot of albums, like complete albums. I'm not gonna tell you I've listened to 50 albums, but the few albums that I have on iTunes, I have actually listened to them in its entirety. And I don't know what's happening to my brain, because I am having much more fun listening to them right here than on Spotify. I guess I just ran out of attention to give to Spotify. The second reason is supporting artists and the music industry itself. You've probably heard that Spotify is a really shit way to support an artist, right? It's a great tool for finding new music, but it is a terrible one to actually support the artist. The absolute best way to actually support them is to buy their music, whether you buy it digitally or actually get the CD or the cassette tapes or the vinyl. And I know music can get really expensive at times, but I think I have a soft spot for music and I like to throw my money at it. And I guess I have loved music since I was very young, and I like to show my appreciation towards it and my respect towards the industry. And since Spotify only pays around $4 for every 1,000 streams to every artist, I don't think my streaming is giving them any of my money. So yeah, buying music is such a great way to actually support your artist. And you got a lot of options. You can buy digitally, which is the cheapest one. You can get singles, or actually like single songs, instead of buying the whole record if you don't want. Or you could get the CD, which is the next cheapest option. Or actually cassettes, I guess. Sometimes they're cheaper than CDs, but I wouldn't recommend it. Anyway, and I really think that $10 is a fair price to pay for an album. I know most of them don't actually go for $10, but once they're on sale, they probably go for $10 or even less. I've seen them go for like $8 brand new. So yeah, you got a lot of options to choose from. You can go digital, and that's the absolute cheapest way you can go. And the files are yours to keep. Like, you can put them anywhere you want. And my third reason, I think is the most important one, is the connection to the music. As a human being, I'm forever cursed with being an emotional creature. I can't stop myself from feeling things and creating bonds with inanimate objects. But music is a different thing, because the whole purpose of music is to actually make you feel stuff. And I'm actively feeling things as I'm using or consuming the music, I guess. I guess it's the same with video games, and that's probably why the retro market is getting stupidly expensive. But that's besides the point. I create emotional connections with my music because it is the only thing that has been with me in every big moment of my life. All these albums that I have mean something completely different from what they can mean to you, and that's because I experienced them from my own perspective. I can remember all the albums that were gifted to me, and I can remember all the people that gave them to me. And that's something that streaming services cannot replicate. Because you can share a song or an album with someone, but the way you do it is you only send them a link, and that's kind of impersonal, I guess. When I actually get a CD or an album, it's not only the fact that I'm getting that specific album and putting it on the shelf. What I'm doing is I'm actually choosing to keep all those memories and all those feelings and all the meaning in the album. And I'm keeping it to myself, for myself, because I can revisit and relive all those memories and experiences from that album, you know? And that connection to the music, it actually starts from the moment you find the albums. Because there's something very exciting about actually going to the record store and just looking for stuff and finding things without you actually expecting to find them, I guess. For example, I recently went to a flea market and a record store and I got 4 CDs. I had previously seen these 2 at that flea market and I was decided to buy them. So I went there, asked for the price. They are in pristine condition. They look so amazing. And I love the fact that they're like printed on the actual CD. And they got a lot of, I guess, printed stuff. But yeah, I was decided to get these albums. This is amazing. This is meh. But what's so exciting about going to the record store is just looking through the bookshelves they have and just looking for stuff that might be interesting to you. Like, for example, I had never listened to this album in its entirety. But the moment I saw it, I was like, yeah, I have to get it. I was specifically looking for late 90s and early 2000s stuff, and this fit the bill perfectly. And the few songs that I know from this record, I like them a lot. It was something that I didn't think I was gonna get, and it was a nice surprise to just find it. But the next one actually kind of blew me away, because I was not expecting to find the artist, and obviously not this album. I'm talking about Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. I was actually hoping for Siamese Daydream, Siamese, I don't know how it's pronounced, but the moment I saw this, I was like, yep, I have to get it. And it's so freaking pretty, and it's perfect. It's in perfect condition. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. And it's a great album. It's one of the most iconic albums from the 90s. I had never actually listened to it, and so this was my golden opportunity to actually listen to the thing. And I'm so glad that I got it, and it's so cool to have it. I hate the fucking stickers, but that's besides the point. And that's what I mean. Like, on Spotify, I would look at this and be like, yeah, why is this thing 2 hours long? I'm not gonna listen to it. And I had put it off for so many, I guess, weeks, days, months, I don't know. It hadn't been years, but it's been a long time since I wanted to listen to this thing, but I just didn't feel like it on Spotify. Because I feel like we fall into this FOMO thing on Spotify, because we think well, at least it happens to me, I could be listening to something better or something newer instead of this freaking 30-year-old album. And so you have so many options to choose from that in the end you don't feel very, I guess, rewarded. My point is finding this and seeing it physically, having it right here. It's so much more special than just putting it on Spotify. It doesn't feel the same. This is way more exciting, and it's a great way to choose your music and actually listen to the music. Yeah, I may have rambled a little bit on this video, but I feel like building a music library is so personal and so fun that I think everyone should experience this. And I know for a fact that the new generations are not experiencing music this way, and I guess it creates curiosity on them to see older people talk about CDs and records and music collecting, you know? And I guess that's the goal with this video, to excite people, to make them curious about, yeah, what's so special about having a CD, building a library, basically the same thing. It's basically the same thing as Spotify, but actually having it on your PC or your iPod or iPad or whatever. But anyway, I want to hear from you guys. How are you guys consuming your music? Is it physical? Is it digital? Are you buying the music? Are you using streaming platforms? And can someone tell me the best way to actually record or rip vinyl onto the computer? Because I'm talking about software, because I have the cable to actually plug it to the computer, but I want to know the best way or the easiest way to get a lossless format. So if anyone could help, I'd be really thankful. Yeah, that's all I have for today. Bye.